I had the sill to myself for 11 hours before the first channel went quiet. That was the job. Listening post, high ground, a slab of granite scoured pale by wind until it looked bleached, like bone left out too long in a climate that doesn't believe in shade. Tessera's reach didn't do shadow the way I was used to. The light came at you from every angle at once, off the rock, off the thin silver grass, off the sky itself. And you learned fast not to trust your eyes out here. You trusted your ears. That was the whole point of the post. 3 channels, 3 relief listeners spread across the ridge below me, each one watching a different draw where the valley narrowed, each one calling in every 20 minutes on the dot, so command knew the line was still breathing. At 11 hours and 6 minutes, Channel 2 missed its call. I didn't panic. You don't get to panic in this job, you get to log it. I keep my own set, said the time, said Channel 2 is 40 seconds late, requested confirm, and waited. 40 seconds became 4 minutes. I marked it down in the little waterproof notebook they give you instead of trusting you with anything that runs on a battery you might need later, and I told myself static, terrain, a dropped antenna. Camera, on Channel 2, was steady. She'd been in 3 actions before this one, and she did not miss calls. Channel 3 missed its call at 11 hours 40. That was when my hands stopped being steady, even though my voice didn't. I want that on record, if anyone ever reads this back. My voice didn't shake. I called it in flat, the way Sergeant Dell taught us, like reading weather. Channels 2 and 3 non-responsive, requesting instruction. Nothing came back but the long, empty hiss of a relay with nothing on the other end of it, which is its own kind of answer. I was the only signal still alive on the sill. I want to explain what the silence felt like, because it wasn't silence. The wind never stopped moving through that grass, this thin metallic whisper, like the whole ridge was breathing through its teeth. I sat with my back against the warm rock and my rifle across my knees, and I watched the draw below me, daylight pouring down so even, so total, that there was nowhere on that whole ridge a thing could hide. That was supposed to be the comfort of the post. Nothing gets close to you out here without you seeing it first. I had forgotten, in that hour, that the thing hunting listening posts on Tessera's reach didn't need to get close. It only needed to get heard. At 11 hours 51, my 3rd channel, my own relief frequency, the one I call command on, clicked open before I touched it, and my own voice came out of it. Channels 2 and 3 non-responsive, it said, requesting instruction. Word for word. Same flat reading weather cadence Sergeant Dell taught us. I sat very still and listened to myself talk back to me out of a dead channel. And somewhere under my ribs, something old and animal told me to run. And I didn't, because there was nowhere on that bright bone-white ridge to run to that it wouldn't be able to see me running. It said it twice more. Same words. Same tone. Perfect. Almost perfect. The 3rd time, on the word instruction, it clipped the end short. Instruct show. The way a recording clips when it's been looped from a fragment instead of the whole word. I'd said a whole. The thing repeating me back to myself had cut my sentence in 3 places to stitch it into a loop, and the seams didn't quite match. And once I heard the seam, I couldn't stop hearing it. It wasn't talking to me. It was wearing me, the way you'd wear a coat that almost fits, and it didn't know yet that I could feel where the stitching pulled. That was the only thing it had gotten wrong. The only thread. I had 11 hours of training and 1 busted seam in my own borrowed voice, and that's what I had to work the whole problem with. And somehow, kneeling there in the white light with 2 of my people gone quiet below me, that felt like enough rope to hang the thing with. Because here's what I understood, sitting against that warm rock with the wind going through the grass like teeth, it could only throw back what it had already caught. It hadn't caught me yet. It had caught Camara and Tobias on 3, enough of their last transmissions to learn their shapes, and now I was trying my shape on, testing the fit with my own borrowed sentence, waiting to hear if I'd answer the bait and walk down into that draw to find whoever was calling. So I gave it something it hadn't caught. I keyed the unlisted frequency, the maintenance band nobody used for anything but checking the relay towers, the one that wasn't on its menu because nobody on this post had ever spoken on it before. And I said my own name, full and slow, the way my grandmother used to say it when she was annoyed with me and wanted every syllable to land. Mire, Okonjo hail. Then I did the thing I do, the thing every soldier in my unit teases me for, and none of them have ever heard the choir do, because the choir had never heard it either. I said it again, faster, swallowing the middle of the way I always do when I'm tired. Mirkanjali, half a name worn down by 1,000 casual repetitions, a tick so small and so mine that no fragment of my voice it had stolen off the official channel would ever contain it, because I never talk that way to command. Only to myself. Only when I think no one is listening. I told it where I'd be. The flat rock at the lip of the draw, in the open, in full daylight, no cover at all. Then I went down to stand there and wait to be answered. It took 4 minutes. Long enough that I had time to be afraid properly all the way through and to decide I would stand there anyway. I counted the grass moving in the wind to keep my hands from finding something to do on their own. I thought about Commer's 20-minute calls, how steady they'd always sounded, how a voice that's steady could still go quiet without warning, and I made myself stop thinking about that because grief was a door I could not afford to open standing in the open like this. I thought instead about the shape of my own name in my mouth, the worn-down middle of it, the one piece of me that had never once gone out over an official channel in 11 hours of careful, correct by-the-book calls. I held on to that smallness like a stone in my fist. Then the air at the tree line folded wrong, the way heat doesn't fold, the way light isn't supposed to fold, and out of that wrongness it built a voice and tried to bait back at me. My real tick in its mouth now, stolen whole from 4 minutes ago. Perfect this time, no seam at all. But it said it from the tree line. It was answering toward where the sound had come from, not toward where the speaker actually stood, because it had never once, in this entire hunt, needed to understand a voice. It only needed to wear one. And a thing that wears a voice instead of owning, it doesn't know that you can throw your voice from one place and stand in another. Doesn't know that the unlisted frequency I'd used had 3 relay points scattered along that ridge. Doesn't know that Mire Okonjo Mirkanjali had gone out from the tower 100 meters east of where I was actually kneeling with my rifle already up. It turned to answer a voice that wasn't there and showed me, for 1 full second in that merciless flat daylight, exactly where it was standing. I didn't gloat. I want that on record too. I fired once, the way Sergeant Dell taught us, and the fold in the air came apart like a held breath finally let go. And the wind kept moving through the grass exactly the way it had the whole time, indifferent, patient, like it had been waiting for the ridge to go quiet again, so it could have its sound back. I called it in, channel secure, threat neutralized, requesting relief and recovery for 2 and 3. My voice was steady. It had been steady the entire time, even when it wasn't mine to trust. They tell me, back at the depot, that the report will say I exploited an audio fidelity flaw in the entity's mimicry capability. That's the official language, and I understand why they need it. But what actually happened up there was smaller and stranger than that. Something learned to speak in my voice, and it never once thought to ask why I'd say my own name to myself in a tired, half-swallowed murmur nobody else on this whole ridge had ever heard. It copied the words and missed the person. I think, in the end, that's the only edge we ever really have. Not the rifle. The part of you too small and too ordinary for anything else to think worth stealing.